I always knew my parents loved my sister Sarah more than me, but I never imagined that their favoritism would lead to the death of my son. Growing up, I learned early that Sarah was the golden child. She got everything: the best clothes, music, lessons, a brand new car on her 16th birthday. I got hand-me-downs, second-hand books, and a used car that barely lasted 6 months. When Sarah wanted braces, my parents paid for them without hesitation. When I needed them a year later, they told me we couldn't afford it. At first, I tried to justify it. Maybe money was tight. Maybe I was just imagining things. But as I got older, I realized the truth. Sarah wasn't just their favorite. She was their priority. I didn't expect much from them by the time I became an adult. I worked hard, put myself through college, and built a life with my husband, James. We weren't rich, but we were happy. And when our son, Tommy, was born, I swore I would never let him feel unwanted like I had. But when Tommy got sick, my parents' favoritism turned into something much worse, something cruel, something unforgivable. Because while my husband and I begged for help to save our son's life, my parents were secretly funding my sister's hidden family, paying for her luxury vacations, private school tuition, and even a beach house, while my baby boy died in my arms. From the moment I found out I was pregnant, I loved Tommy more than anything in this world. The pregnancy wasn't easy. Morning sickness hit me hard, and at 32 weeks, doctors gave us devastating news. Tommy had a severe heart defect. He would need multiple surgeries, starting immediately after birth. The day he was born, he was whisked away for his first operation before I could even hold him. He was so tiny, his chest covered in wires, his heartbeat weak but fighting. James and I did everything we could. We drained our savings, took out loans, and worked ourselves to exhaustion. Insurance covered most of the $150,000 medical bill, but we still owed $30,000 out of pocket. James took on extra shifts, and I worked from home, balancing work with caring for our fragile son. When Tommy needed another surgery 6 months later, we were out of options. So, for the first time in years, I swallowed my pride and asked my parents for help. They had just returned from a 2-week Mediterranean cruise with Sarah. I sat at their kitchen table, my hands shaking, showing them the hospital bills. I begged. "We just don't have the money right now," my mother sighed. I believed them. For the next year, James worked 80-hour weeks, pushing himself to the point of collapse. I sold everything I could, our car, our furniture, even my engagement ring. We scraped by. Then one night, Tommy's condition took a turn for the worse. His tiny heart was failing. The doctors told us he needed another emergency surgery, one that would cost $50,000. We had nothing left. No savings, no credit, no time. So I did the only thing I could. I went back to my parents. This time, I fell to my knees. I sobbed, begged, promised to pay them back however they wanted. "We just can't, sweetheart," my father said. "Medical expenses have been tough for everyone." 2 days later, Tommy died in my arms. At his funeral, my parents stayed for only 30 minutes. They left early because Sarah had an urgent matter she needed their help with. 3 weeks later, while cleaning Tommy's room, I found my dad's old phone under the bed. I turned it on, and my world shattered. Hundreds of messages between Sarah and my parents. Monthly transfers of $5,000. Private school tuition for Sarah's 3 secret children. Paid vacations to Hawaii, Europe. A $400,000 vacation home in the Hamptons. And 5 days before telling me they had no money, a $75,000 deposit for Sarah's beach house. I was shaking with rage. My parents didn't just refuse to help, they chose to let Tommy die. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I planned. That Sunday, at our usual family dinner, I connected my dad's phone to the TV. When everyone was settled in the living room, I pressed play, screenshots, bank transfers, conversations. Everyone saw it. My mother gasped. My father stared at the floor. Sarah sat smugly on the couch. "You're being dramatic," she scoffed. "I have 3 kids. They needed it more." I turned to her. "More than my dying son?" My parents stammered, tried to explain. "Sarah is more emotionally sensitive than you. She needed us more," my mother said. My Aunt Susan, usually quiet, finally spoke. "How could you let your grandson die while buying Sarah a mansion?" They had no answer. I left that night and never spoke to them again. Over the next few months, more secrets unraveled. My aunt had given Sarah $30,000, believing her child needed emergency surgery. Sarah used it to renovate her kitchen. My cousin Emily had been engaged to Sarah's husband before Sarah stole him, away with my mother helping to write the breakup note. Sarah had another husband before this one, a man she abandoned after draining his bank accounts. My parents helped her forge documents to disappear. My parents had even stolen from Tommy's trust fund, moving the money into accounts for Sarah's kids. And then the biggest revelation, Sarah wasn't even their biological daughter. She was adopted at age 2, something they had hidden from everyone, including her. They had spent their entire lives making sure she never felt unwanted, and in doing so, they made sure I did. Everything collapsed. My father was fired for embezzling company funds to support Sarah. My mother was forced to resign after it was discovered she had stolen from her school's fundraising accounts. Their home was sold to cover legal fees. They now live in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. Sarah's husband divorced her and won full custody of their kids. Sarah was arrested for identity theft after trying to open credit cards under her children's names. Meanwhile, James and I moved far away to start fresh. And as I write this, I'm 4 months pregnant. Only a few trusted family members know. I won't let my parents poison another child with their lies. I still miss Tommy every day. I still wish I could have saved him. But if this experience has taught me anything, it's that sometimes the people who should love you the most are the ones who will hurt you the worst. And when that happens, you don't have to forgive them. You just have to let them go. And his photos are everywhere in our new home. However, I'm happy that my parents and Sarah's truth was revealed, at least Lee. They are no longer able to harm others with their falsehoods. Among all of this, the most difficult lesson I took away was that sometimes the people who ought to love you the most are the ones who hurt you the most. However, right now, my attention is on the future and creating a better life with the family members that genuinely care about us. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.